All right, welcome to The Explainer. We've got an absolutely massive one for you today. Right now, across the globe, there is basically one question on every single football fan's mind. Who is actually going to win this thing? The 2026 FIFA World Cup is already delivering some unprecedented drama. We're talking shocking upsets and moments that are definitely going to be etched into sporting history forever. And for those of us trying to predict how this all shakes out, it's like a giant puzzle. So today, we're taking the source data, the recent team performances, and the sheer wild unpredictability of this tournament, and we're turning it into your ultimate bracket prediction guide.
But before we even look at the teams, we kind of have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of the math here. 104. That is the total number of matches in this tournament. We're looking at a massive field of 48 nations, all playing for just one single trophy. I mean, if you thought picking a perfect bracket was hard in previous years, this expanded format makes 2026 the most challenging, chaotic, and downright unpredictable bracket to map out in history. You absolutely cannot just rely on a gut feeling anymore. You need a structured approach.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to break this down into 4 parts. First, the heavyweight favorites. Second, potential bracket busters. Third, the home soil X factor. And finally, making your final pick.
All right. Part 1, the heavyweight favorites. These are your top chalk picks for your bracket. Look, when you're building your bracket, you gotta respect the odds, right? And right now, bookmakers have Spain heavily penciled in as a top contender. As the current European champions, they play a style of football that's incredibly fast, super fluid, and just built on overwhelming possession. But they aren't the only giants in this elite tier. You've got France, driven by some historic individual performances. You've got Argentina, the defending champs, where Messi and his squad rely on unmatched tactical continuity to just grind out results. There's Brazil, bringing that undeniable samba flair and relentless attacking pace. And, of course, England, who enter the tournament always believing that this is finally their year. Conventional wisdom says you pick a winner from this elite group, but pick the wrong one early, and that could cascade into a totally busted bracket by the quarterfinals.
And zooming in on France for a second, the crucial point here is that Kylian Mbappé isn't just playing well. He is literally rewriting the history books. He has already scored more World Cup goals than absolute legends like Pelé and Messi. Just think about the sheer magnitude of that for a second. When you're filling out your bracket and mapping France's path, you really have to ask yourself, can you afford to count out a team led by a guy performing at historically dominant level on the world stage? The data strongly suggests you'd be crazy to bet against him. Which brings us to part 2. Potential bracket busters, the chaos makers, and the dark horses. Now, what's really interesting here is the reality check for anyone just blindly picking those heavy favorites. Remember Spain's unstoppable technical brilliance we just talked about? Well, in the group stage, they ran into tiny Cape Verde and got held to a shock draw. This is the exact kind of tactical roadblock that busts brackets wide open. Cape Verde used a deeply disciplined low block that completely frustrated Spain's fluid passing lanes. It proves that despite the bookies' odds, even the heaviest favorites can be stifled. The gap between the giants and the rest of the world, it's shrinking fast. And if you thought that was a fluke, look at this. Japan squared off against a traditional European powerhouse, the Netherlands. The result? A thrilling 2-all draw. Japan didn't just survive out there. They used a relentless high press to totally neutralize the Dutch buildup and went toe-to-toe for 90 minutes. It unequivocally proves that Asian football is a serious, undeniable force in this tournament. If you're sleeping on teams like Japan in the knockout rounds, your bracket is going to be in serious trouble. But then, you have the math of pure, terrifying dominance. 7-1. That is the scoreline by which Germany absolutely destroyed Curaçao. They didn't just win, they made a statement to the rest of the 48-nation field. Sometimes a team looking to reestablish its legendary status just clicks, and when a squad like Germany puts 7 goals in the back of the net, they put every single remaining opponent on notice. And the chaos definitely doesn't stop there. Take Morocco. We all remember how they completely shocked the world back in 2022 with their incredible run to the semifinals, right? Well, the source data confirms they are incredibly hungry to push even further this time around. Between Germany's aggressive statements, Japan's high-pressing resilience, and Morocco's proven pedigree for deep runs, the dark horses in 2026 are highly capable of tearing through the favorites. Any one of these teams could blindside the giants.
All right, part 3, the home soil X factor. This is our unpredictable element, because you simply kind of evaluate this bracket without factoring in where these matches are actually being played. The United States is playing on home soil, and they immediately capitalized on it with a massive 4-1 win over Paraguay. That isn't just a win, that's an announcement. If you're plotting out the U.S. path in your bracket, home advantage is a very real metric you've got to account for.
I want you to really let this quote sink in for a second. No team wants to face the Stars and Stripes in front of 80,000 screaming American fans. Imagine being the away team walking into that literal wall of sound. That level of intimidation completely alters game plans. It shakes a team's confidence. It's a psychological weight that teams like Spain, France, or Brazil will absolutely have to carry if they cross paths with the US. Could this be the tournament where the United States truly announces itself as a global powerhouse? With that home field advantage, it's a very real possibility.
So that brings us to our final section, Part 4, making your final pick. Who will lift the trophy?
Mapping out this tournament's journey, we've already seen how the group stages are delivering shock tactical draws and massive offensive statements. We know the knockout rounds are going to be pure bracket chaos as the gauntlet whittles down these 48 nations. But everything, literally everything, is pulling toward one date and one location, July 19th, the final at MetLife Stadium. Will it be Spain, France, Germany, Argentina, or maybe a dark horse that absolutely nobody saw coming? We're only just getting started, and the field is completely wide open.
So I'm going to leave you with this final question. Who will lift the trophy? After weighing the sheer dominance of the heavyweights, the tactical threat of the bracket busters, and the immense power of home soil, who do you have taking it all on July 19th? Drop your ultimate bracket prediction in the comments below. And hey, make sure to subscribe because we're going to be right here breaking down the data and covering every single twist of this incredibly unpredictable tournament. Thanks for exploring this explainer with me, and we'll catch you next time.